In today's video, I'm going to talk about how smoking weed made my life more stressful. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset Recovery Coaching, programs that are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, substances I once struggled with. When I first started smoking weed, I was a bit younger. I was still in college. I was finishing up my doctorate in chiropractic school. I was around the age of probably 21 to 23-ish, I want to say. And at that time, my main focus was school, working a part-time job at Vitamin Shop, and having fun with my friends. And that was a majority of my responsibilities. As long as I was making enough money to pay for rent on my apartment, have money to go out drinking each weekend, and buy some basic food items, I was happy. I was content. And at that time, smoking weed was fun. It was a good time for me, okay? As my environment changed, as my lifestyle changed, as my responsibilities changed, and I continued to smoke weed, it started to create a lot more stress. And it's really important that you guys understand this, because if you're trying to quit and you understand this, it will make quitting a lot easier. I was starting to undergo some forms of financial stress. Here I am, I'm smoking weed. I'm now working 2 or 3 different jobs because I'm trying to start my own business. And financially, I'm not just making a lot of money at the time, but I am spending $50 a week, $100 a week on cannabis, nicotine, and alcohol. And that's financially stressful when you're not making a lot of money. So here I am, and I have financial stress now. I am personally a very, very social person. And my social ability was really important for my job too, networking and all that. And I'm also social in the sense that at the time, I really wanted a girlfriend. I wanted to find someone that I could settle down with and eventually get married to. Weed was making me antisocial. So on a Friday night, instead of meeting up, going on a date, I'd sit at home, I'd smoke some weed, drink a beer, watch the news, and call it a night. Now, although that might sound like a relaxing night, for a guy who's social, who wanted to be out, who wanted to be mingling, who wanted to be getting his name out there, this was very counterproductive. And that isolation was actually very, very stressful because it went against the very grain of the type of person that I was. I hope that makes some level of sense when it comes to how that created stress for me. Physically, my health was declining from the weed smoking. I wasn't taking care of myself the same, right? I wasn't necessarily, and I know this doesn't apply to everyone. A lot of people who smoke weed are extremely healthy, okay? That wasn't the case for me. I wasn't working out the same. I wasn't eating as good as I normally would have. My physical health was declining. I eventually developed symptoms of Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome, and now I had a lot of anxiety surrounding my health and my current health condition. And that was very, very stressful. And sometimes I felt so sick I couldn't go to work. I couldn't go out to social events. And then missing those things would lead to more anxiety and more stress, whether it was a missed opportunity to meet someone that I might potentially date or a missed opportunity to make some money going to work. I was developing multiple layers of stress that were a direct result of my THC consumption, compiled now on top of all the other stressors I have. Trying to build a career, trying to build a savings account, trying to save up for a house. And I think when it comes to quitting smoking weed, if you can understand that weed is the source, potentially, of some of the stress in your life, it makes quitting much easier, because there's a good chance right now you're viewing weed as the solution to the stress in your life. And that was eye-opening for me to realize that weed was the cause of the stress, not the solution to the stress. It made quitting much, much easier because now I wasn't giving up anything that was worthwhile. I wasn't giving up something that was benefiting me. This is the cycle of addiction. Addiction causes problems in our lives. We develop stress surrounding those problems. And the only way we know how to cope with that stress is by returning to that substance, whether it be weed, alcohol, nicotine, other drugs. It doesn't matter. The clear solution, though, is the removal of that substance, and many of these problems will go away. Now, to be clear, quitting weed, though, once you quit, it's not guaranteed happiness. It's not guaranteed stress relief. It's none of that. You're still going to have the other problems that existed in your life. Those are still going to be there. What you do, what actions you take after you quit are what's going to dictate the rest. If you were an unhappy person before you smoked and you're an unhappy person while you smoke, when you quit, you still might be an unhappy person. If you're a boring person and that's why you started smoking weed, when you quit smoking weed, you're not suddenly going to become an exciting person. You're going to have to work towards that. And that's great, guys, because that's part of what getting sober and starting the recovery process is all about. It's about developing new characteristics, new traits about yourself, and not returning to the same old version of the person you once were. That's what's so exciting. That's how I found YouTube. That's how I wound up eventually getting married. And I'll say another thing too. I'm going to go into a more detailed video series on this. I'm going to talk about what I think when it comes to being a single male that was approaching his 30s, wanting to get married, wanting to have kids. I do think it was very important that I eventually got into a relationship, and I think that was a good thing as far as keeping me on track goes. When we look at data about single males, which is a majority of people on this channel, they're more inclined to drink, they're more inclined to watch porn, they're more inclined to use tobacco products, they're more inclined to partake in risk-engaging behaviors. And I do think finding that right person can be a big benefit. Here's the caveat, though. I didn't start to find that person until I gave up those addictions and allowed myself the time and the space and the energy to find that person. Because to be quite honest, I was in a relationship with weed, nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and porn. Until I broke up with that relationship, it was almost impossible for me to find a new one. And even in the past, when I would find one, it would usually end shortly thereafter because my heart lied with my addictions, not with that special someone. So that's going to be the next video I make. So if you haven't, subscribe and like this video and maybe turn on your notifications so you can be notified where I talk more about addiction and relationships and my opinion on that. I'll see you guys there.